My dear viewers and followers, my name is Fru Nde Nkimbe. I am the host and producer of African Hour since 2000. African Hour is committed to keeping you informed of events and news of interest. We are objective, fair, and balanced. We are beholden to no groups or individuals and have received no support, be it in kind or financial, from any group or individual since 2000. African Hour received a certificate of special congressional recognition from the United States House of Representatives and the Massachusetts Senate and the Lowell Police for extraordinary leadership, community activism, for unyielding commitment to educating the greater Lowell community on cultural diversity. Since 2016, African Hour has devoted a lot of time on covering the crisis in the southern Cameroon. We bring our guests to share their opinion and views and engage them in a productive, informative discussion. And the views shared on African Hours are those of our guests, and African Hour does not control the views and opinions of our guests. Thank you for your support and encouragement. If you would like to contact African Hour, kindly send an email to africanhour2023@gmail.com. africanhour2023@gmail.com. Thank you.
To wonder how this young man came about what he was doing. His father would later dissuade him from reading history and literature because he feared that he would eventually land the whole family into problems. He eventually read maths, economics, and geography, A4 series, and later became a business executive, but would return to read law because this issue of Southern Cameroon was so dear to his heart. Today, he is about to present the final paper of this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Ghana Valentine.
Ambazonia oye! Oye! Southern Cameroon oye! Oye! ADF oye! Oye! Sokadev oye! Oye! Red Dragons oye! Oye! AMC oye! Oye! It's very humbling for me to be introduced by Dr. Fontaine-Neva. I'm very humbled also because I pay attention to all the luminary figures that are here. To Dr. Anyangwe, to Bo Hebek, to Mr. Hadison Lobe here, to Dr. Akwanga, and to a lot of the luminary figures that have charted the course of this struggle before us. And this struggle has affected us for a long time in so many personal ways. I remember exactly when I was called to the consciousness of this struggle. And the reason why I remember that date and that time so in such a crisp manner was because it was the day Cameroon played Zambia. And I think Zambia, the KK11 eliminated Cameroon from going, I don't know if it was to the World Cup or to the African Nations Cup, something. And the reason why I remember that day was because as from 3 students of CPC Bali, we had heard that they were going to project that game on TV. And we left Dutch school to go to Bamenda and be able to watch that game on TV. And when we got to Bamenda, we realized TV had not yet come, so we had to return back to school. So on our way of returning back to school, we stopped, it was about 3 of us, we stopped by the airport, and we sort of just trekked and chatted back and forth. And as we trekked and chatted back and forth, we sort of mentally meandered our way into the discussion about the Southern Cameroon. So I was 13 years, I think about 13 years old then. And what I'm going to say, our lady from Cameroon who talked about just finding a way to end this conflict, just finding peace. It's going to answer that question because, as some speakers here have stated, there can be no peace without justice.
Amen.
So when they started toiling with, and from that discussion, we sort of formed a group in Bali. And that's why I have so much awe for people like Dr. Akwanka, because their thoughts then eventually led them to forming armed groups that were destined to address the situation of the Southern Cameroons. We formed a group, and this group was, it was similar to what Dr. Akwanga, Picho Ayaba, them have created. We built a committee, we're holding our meetings, we're gathering funds. This was back in 1983, 1984. We developed our code language, and it was this group that led the way to the strikes in the Northwest and the Southwest province when, and I think Professor George Gango was Minister of Education, and they wanted to change the GCE system from the baccalaureate, blah, blah, blah. I mean, from the GCE system as we know it to the back. So we galvanized students, we planned meetings, we circulated circulars, and we struck. We hit Bamenda, we gathered the schools, PSS Mancon, Longla, and there was a whole protest in Abakwa. So, and we had planned the strike so well. We had our placards, we had designed everything. So when the police forces descended on the students, some of us had already planned our escape ahead of time. So when they descended on the students and they caught some of them, they were very mesmerized about the meticulous nature that went into the planning. Yeah. We were advocating for the release of Ngozi Dinka. We're again, like you say, we're just pleading for the stop of linguistic discrimination in Cameroon. And so 2 weeks after the strike, they arrested students, they were interviewing, they were trying to find out who the ringleaders of this strike were. So 2 weeks later, I was in Bali, we're just from having lunch, and mobile wing gendarmerie and police officers descended on the campus, and they said they were looking for Valentine Ghana. So I was a scrawny, tiny old, I think about 15, 16-year-old kid there. So they pointed that I was the guy. They were surprised to see that I was just this little guy that was blowing away. So when they called me and they said they gave me the convocation, they were waiting for me at the gendarmerie. I said, you guys, let me go to my room and get my jacket. So they thought I was trying to escape, but I was waiting for them, and I was not waiting for them because I was scared. I was waiting for them because I was prepared to defend the strike. And if it meant they were going to kill me, so be it. So they took me, they grilled me there. The governor's representative was there, the colonel for the Northwest, the representative from presidency, the representative from the Presbyterian Church. And they grilled me for about 5-6 hours. And then they know, okay, they've gotten the leader. That night they released a lot of the students from the BMM. We stayed there for about 2 months. So I was in detention there for about 2 months. And I really didn't mean to talk about myself and that part of the story, because one humbling thing that I've appreciated about Dr. Fontem is that when he gave his presentation, he did not even talk about the time he spent in Kondongi. He did not make it about himself. So my apologies if I've gone into that history, but just to correct a few things and to emphasize on what Dr. Fontem said. But the topic which I'm here to present and which Dr. Fontem asked me to present on is the Cameroon War, searching for a path to sustainable peace. And the very knowledgeable, very learned, very eloquent speakers who have spoken have laid a groundwork and covered almost everything. And I just can touch on it. I mean, it's just like a painting that I have to just brush on parts of it, and it will be done. But we have, if we are searching for a path to sustainable peace, we have to ask ourselves some critical questions. Europe fought a lot of wars for a lot of years. Some of us who studied history, the little that I studied in secondary school, we talk about the Napoleonic Wars. We talk about the Continental War that France waged on Europe. We talk about the Moscow campaign and all of that. How did Europe attain sustainable peace? We look at the situation of Eritrea and Ethiopia, where it was a federation, and Ethiopia abrogated the federation. And now they have sustainable peace. So we have to ask ourselves, how did they attain sustainable peace? We also have to look at the case of Sudan, that is on the path to attaining sustainable peace. And now there are two parts of it, North Sudan and South Sudan. How did it happen that they are now on the path to sustainable peace? Another example we have to look at is warring the United States when they fought against the Japanese. How did they get to a sustainable peace? We also look at the situation in South Africa. Growing up in the 80s, I used to read Jeune Afrique, New African, African, all of those magazines cover to cover, as I suppose a lot of you guys used to. We used to hear about the frontline states, Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, Nigeria, Angola. They were all fighting wars against South Africa. We knew of the powers that were sponsoring people like Jonas Savimbi. We knew of the warring factions in South Africa, whether it was the Buthelezis in Kaka trying to destabilize the ANC, the massacres, the Soweto massacres, all of that. But South Africa and the frontline states are now at a sort of sustainable peace. So we have to ask ourselves, how did they get to sustainable peace? Permit me quote one more example. In the 80s, we used to hear of the Israeli incursion into Lebanon. Israel occupied southern Lebanon just like La Republique is occupying Ambazonia for a long time. And we used to hear of the factions in Lebanon, the Islamic Druze, Hezbollah, the Christian militias, and they fought and they killed people. How did Lebanon get to sustainable peace that we don't hear about Lebanon anymore? Why does mighty Israel not venture into Lebanon anymore? Exactly. So we have to ask ourselves, how did they get to sustainable peace? So when they ask me to talk about sustainable peace, first, what is peace? Peace is freedom from disturbance or tranquility. A state or period in which there is no war or where the war has ended. And so we also have to ask ourselves, what is the definition of sustainable peace? In trying to look at the various materials that I could scrape the definition of sustainable peace from, I went to UN Resolution 70/262 of April 27, 2016. It defines sustainable peace as should be broadly understood as a goal and a process to build a common vision of a society, ensuring that the needs of all segments of the population are taken into account, which encompasses activities aimed at preventing the outbreak, escalation, continuation, and recurrence of conflict, addressing root causes, assisting parties to conflict to end hostilities, ensuring national reconciliation and moving towards recovery, reconstruction and development, and emphasizing sustaining peace is a shared task and responsibility that needs to be fulfilled by the government and all other national stakeholders. So we come back to the situation of Ambazonia and we ask ourselves, how did we get to the situation of conflict that we are talking about needing sustainable peace? And again, like I said, all the speakers that have spoken before me, Dr. Anyangwe, Bo Herbert, Hadison here, Dr. Akwanka, Dr. Fontaine, they've all articulated where the problem is. In law, when we define a problem, say when a crime has been committed, there are two sets of things that we look at. We look at the facts and we look at the rules. So I'm not going to repeat a lot of what they've already said. I'm just going to zoom in on the facts of our situation or some relevant facts that have a bearing on our situation, and I'm going to look at the rules that apply. First, let me indulge on the rules. If you read any legal conclusion, they are always talking about the holding. The holding, again, is always based on the rules. As Dr. Anyangwe and Bo Herbert articulated, our independence was declared through UN Resolution 1514. We talk a lot about UN Resolution 1608 XV. UN Resolution 1608 was only crafted to steal our independence, which we would have gotten from UN Resolution 1514. And so, permit me read just Article 1 and Article 5 of UN Resolution 1514. Article 1, the subjection of peoples to alien subjugation, domination, and exploitation constitutes a denial of fundamental human rights, is contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and is an impediment to the promotion of world peace and cooperation. Article 5 of UN Resolution 1514 XV. Immediate steps shall be taken, and again this resolution was passed December 14, 1960. Immediate steps shall be taken in trust and self-governing territories for all other territories which have not yet attained independence to transfer all powers to the peoples of those territories without any conditions or reservations, in accordance with their freely expressed will and desire, without any distinction as to race, creed, color, in order to enable them to enjoy complete independence. The Southern Cameroon was a territory that had already been established at the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. The only reason why Alsace and Lorraine are under France today is because at the settlement of the First World War and at the Treaty of Versailles, the same treaty that created the Southern Cameroons as a distinct international treaty, gave France the right to have Alsace-Lorraine. If France is trying to deprive us of our independence, then they might well as just hand Alsace and Lorraine back to Germany, because there are a lot of people of Germanic origin who reside in Alsace and Lorraine. Consistent again with the rules. Let's look at UN Resolution 1608, the one that we always quote. Article 3, and then again this UN resolution was passed on April 21st, 1961. Article 3 considers that the people of the two parts of the trust territory, having freely and sacredly expressed their wishes with regards to their respective futures in accordance with General Assembly Resolution 1352 and 1473, the decisions made by them through democratic processes under the supervision of the United Nations should be immediately implemented. Article 5 invites the administering authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon, to initiate urgent discussions with a view to finalizing before October 1 the arrangements by which the agreed and declared policies of all parties should be implemented. There are two problems here. When they say invite the administering authority, inviting Britain. Britain was the administering authority. The implementation or the attempted implementation of 1608 is null and void without this administering authority overseeing the Southern Cameroons, the Republic of French Cameroon, then in conjunction with France to create a treaty of union. A treaty of union, as we always say, doesn't exist because UN Resolution 1608 was not implemented. Let's look again at UN Resolution 76A and B. The main basic objective of the trusteeship system, in accordance with the purposes of the United Nations laid down in Article 1 of the present chapter, shall be A, to further international peace and security. B, to promote the political, economic, and social and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the trust territories and their progressive development towards self-government or independence as may be appropriate in the particular circumstance. Do we have self-government? No. Do we need to enforce our independence? Yes. Another informing opinion that we need to factor in as we talk about developing, sustaining peace is the ruling of the African Court of Banjul, the African Human Rights Court, in 2009. A ruling that took years for the African Court in Banjul to pass because La République du Cameroun kept bribing and postponing that ruling for This was the Kevin Wanga Goodman et al. v. Cameroon. The Kevin Goodman ruling by the African Court on Human and People's Rights, seated in Banjul, Gambia, found that among several violations of the African Charter, which Cameroon is a signatory of, the state of Cameroon was in violation of Articles 2, 4, 5, 7, and 20, and in violation of the right to self-determination of the indigenes of the southern Cameroon. Again, reaffirming that we are a distinct people, a distinct nation with a right to self-determination. So when my sisters from Cameroon, God bless them and God bless their hearts, say, just end this war, let's just have peace, does that translate into just sweep your rights away? Again, I've articulated some of the main rules that govern our situation as we search a path to sustainable peace. Let's look at some of the facts. And again, Professor Anyangwe, Mr. Bo Herbert, and all the other speakers have articulated some of the facts. 1608 and 1514 mandated handing independence to the colonial territories and the trusteeship territories consistent with the self-determination wishes of the people. The Manfred Conference of August 10th and 11th, 1959, as has been articulated. It was an all-party plebiscite conference of the leaders of the southern Cameroons. And since Britain was trying to craft a plebiscite, the leaders met to decide what the plebiscite language was supposed to be. So there were two options. And the options were either craft the plebiscite language should be a choice between A, federation with Nigeria, or outright independence. The other option was federation with Nigeria or joining La République. The leaders voted by a supermajority of the vote, 67 to 33%, that their option should be federation with Nigeria or outright independence. As Dr. Anyangwe rightly stated, we should have had the third option for the conditions of UN Resolution 1514 to be fulfilled. We neither had the third option, nor did we have the option which our leaders chose. The violation that has been perpetrated on us, Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, is that which we cannot stomach, is that which we have the duty in history, or by history, to fight against. Let's look at some of the opinions in some of the magazines at that time, leading up to 1959. It is quoted in the local Grassfield Gazette of December 1959 that in one of the conferences held between the representatives of the UN and those of the United Kingdom and Ireland as the administrative authorities and the local traditional rulers, the fund of Bafut admonished the wrong choices that were being presented by stating, we rejected Dr. Endeli because he wanted to take us back to Nigeria. If Mr. Fonja tries to take us back to French Cameroon, we shall run away from him. French Cameroon is fire and Nigeria is water. I support secession from Nigeria without unification with French Cameroon. Correct. So why would we as human beings want to opt for a lesser and inferior option of being slaves with La République? Do we want to do that? No! We look again at the option. We look again at Europe, mainland Europe. They fought their wars. After the Second World War, they realized that fighting was not the option they should take. They did not ask one party to surrender to the other. They started with the European Coal and Steel Union in the 50s. The European Steel and Coal Union is what morphed into the EEC, the European Economic Community. And from the European Economic Community, they have the European Union. But this was free agreements crafted, debated on, voted on, and and ratified by the parliaments of the respective countries. In fact, the person who promulgated, advocated for, marketed, and sold the final treaty that led to the EU was a Frenchman, Jacques Delors. Jacques Delors is the one who sold the Treaty of Maastricht that came into being in 1993. So they have a union, an EU that is based on the Treaty of Union. And then when they come to Africans, or between La République and Amazonia, they want us to submit as slaves to La République. No. Do we want to do that? No! So we look again at the situation of the German Federation, for those of you guys who studied history. We look at Otto von Bismarck. When Otto von Bismarck came to power, and Kaiser William was the head of Prussia, Bismarck was the prime minister. Despite the fact that Prussia was more powerful, Bismarck did not go conquering the principalities of Bavaria and all the others. What did Bismarck do? He negotiated with all of those principalities to become part of the modern day Germany. So are we children of a lesser God to be captured and we stay in slavery? No. We look at the case of Yugoslavia, which I call Yugophalia, under Stalin and later on Marshal Tito. They agglomerated those areas, Montenegro, Kosovo, Croatia, Bosnia, and they held them together under force until the Croatians and the Bosnians in the mid-90s said enough was enough, and they fought against the Serbians just like we are fighting against La Republic, and tens of thousands of people died, and we all know of the massacre of Srebrenica that happened. And we saw blood, and we contemplate going back to the house of the master because we are afraid to spill blood. Are we children of a lesser God? No! Say it. And so we look at all of these examples. We look at the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, where the iron hand of the Communist Union held all of these countries together. Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Lithuania, Estonia, all of them. And all of them fought their way and eventually got under the iron boot of oppression and annexation. And if we give up today fighting against La Republic, do we want to tell our grandchildren that we were children of a lesser God and we succumbed to La Republic? No! And so when we ask ourselves that we want a path to sustainable peace, in law, when we have a situation, we always look at precedent. What happened before? And it's from what happened before that we learn on how to chart our way forward. In conclusion, the southern Cameroon has a population of over 8 million inhabitants and a GDP with conservative estimates of over $20 billion US. It is a territory more populated than New Zealand, Panama, Comoros, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, the Central African Republic, Congo Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, Liberia, Swaziland, Gabon, Namibia. We yearn to have a nation back from the fangs of colonialism. We yearn to have a nation that is ruled by a constitution and by the rule of law. We yearn to live as a free people in pursuit of our God-given right to happiness. That will not happen under colonialism or annexation by La République du Cameroon.
My name is Fru Kimben. I am here with our prominent erudite Professor Anyangwe. It's a privilege and I'm humbled that he accepted this interview. Professor Anyangwe does not need to be introduced. He's a father, a grandfather, and I would say also one of the pioneers of our revolution and the fight for freedom. You've come a long way, and your footsteps are miles along the ocean you will have to do. The struggle for unity is not a one-day issue, and you keep on fighting. You've brought
the frontline leaders who at times it's very difficult for us, for them to unite. But I would like, first of all, sir, for you to briefly state your vision and how you see this unity conference here going.
Well, thank you for giving me the privilege to say one or two words on this issue. I am not one of the frontline leaders. As you rightly remarked, I've been a long time in this struggle, conscientizing our people, raising the consciousness of our people, and representing the consciousness of this struggle. One of my basic responsibilities has always been that this struggle is sustained until victory is achieved. We've seen of recent a number of leaders that have emerged in different groups, and often, given human nature, these groups have their own different ways of doing things. These groups are not necessarily divided on the point of ideology, because all of them stand for an independent Ambazonia. However, in terms of how they're going to proceed, the roadmap we just set and how to go this might differ. And so one of the objectives is to try to get them to agree on strategy and on tactics, on way moving forward. And I think this is what this conference is all about. I'm not too sure whether the conference is trying to force any unity as that thing, but if the leaders can agree on strategy and tactics on how to confront the common enemy and secure for us freedom within the shortest possible time, that to me would be a major achievement.
Thank you very much, Professor. When you speak, we listen. And at this point, I would like you to say something to the diaspora, and as well as say something to our brothers and sisters on ground zero. These are people who are paying the ultimate price with their limbs, blood, and lives. If you could say something, I think that will go a long way to alleviate. It cannot really do a lot, but I think it will help.
The body politic of Ambazonia is divided into two: the diaspora and the people back at home in our homeland. The diaspora Ambazonians have a responsibility to make sure they sustain this struggle, to make sure they provide our fighting children, our sisters, and our brothers, because people tend to forget that there are also women soldiers who are fighting in this fight. So the responsibility of our diaspora Ambazonians is to make sure that our fighting men and women are well equipped, and also that we eliminate as far as is possible, humanly possible, the kind of suffering which we've had people narrate today at this particular conference. We don't want to get our people to get unnecessary suffering. If we can make this thing short, the better. So my challenge has always been that the diaspora, which is better place to provide a wherewithal, I'm here thinking of the finances, to make sure that what is happening at home is prosecuted within the possible shortest time. Regarding our people on ground zero, again, we have to make a twofold distinction. Those who are bearing the brunt of this fight, confronting the enemy, confronting the oppressor, and the generality of our people who are fighting this fight, and people tend to forget, all of them fighting in their own different ways. Somebody mentioned about a ghost town. The fact that they sacrifice and do not go to work on Mondays, and each time we declare certain day, for me, is a continuing sacrifice. And that sacrifice also translates itself into the moral support which they give to the fighting boys, because that is very, very important. Our fighting boys, of course, need proper weapons. They need those weapons. We started this thing, we were never prepared for this war, we never had a trained army, but this war was imposed on us. An illegal war, an unjust war was imposed on us, because the enemy colonial occupier believed they can simply just have a walk over. But our boys and our girls took up the challenge and said, I would rather die than to have our land taken over by the enemy. And because they had nothing, they started off with what? Stones, catapult, that's what I call it, catapult revolution, basically sticks with nothing. But often now able to have access to den guns. Den guns in many of our communities. People had den guns at home for ceremonial purposes and so on. But the process of transferring all of that, changing of the weapons, to have modern military weapons where we can confront the enemy and fight for that. But in addition to that, I just want to emphasize, again, this is something which I think the diaspora has tended to overlook. The military, they say, works on its stomachs, which means that the boys need something to eat, they need food. We've not paid more attention to that. I think we ought to pay attention to that. Our fighters also need what I call basic military medical kits, especially things that would attend to like gunshot wounds, bullets, those basic things, and they're available. So that each of them can have kids can attend to them, so that only the very grave, serious cases can then find themselves in some medical center that is perhaps willing and able to take them. So the aspects, if I may summarize, the diaspora would need to connect to fund Ground Zero. And to fund this Ground Zero, they must more and more be united and more provide the money. In other words, a lot of sacrifice needed from the diaspora community. And this is the least for them they can do at this level because they're outside. For our people who are inside and Ground Zero, two sets of people, the ordinary generality of the people, the civilian population and so on, those ones are supporting the war effort through observance of ghost towns and other days we might want to declare, through the moral support they give to our fighters, both girls and boys who are fighting and living under atrocious conditions in the bush and so on and so forth. And these fighters need better equipment, better weapons. They also need medical kit, and they also need basic things like food to be able to survive, because if they don't eat, they will not. So the contribution should go to all of these things, and we see our boys become more and more effective in confronting the enemy, colonial occupier, oppressor.
Heard it from Professor Anyibu, but before I let you go, sir, I know you've talked about all this. You are the voice of the voiceless. You are our conscience. We have so many of our leaders in jail, and I know that you have been crisscrossing the world advocating on their behalf.
Yes.
Could you say something?
Yes, I believe in all of these things. Let me tell you what the immediate thing that comes to my mind. We all know we are never going to ask for independence because the enemy has no independence to give anybody. We have grabbed our independence, we have taken it as it is our entitlement and as it is our right. We just have to make sure that the enemy disengages. And the enemy must disengage anyway, because they cannot remain in our territory to occupy it forever and ever. So that one is a process that is going to take place. But immediately, as an immediate concern, two strands of things have to take place. One is that all our people who have been abducted and held as political prisoners by French Cameroon, in whatever jails it may be, including our leadership that are abducted from Nigeria, must be released. Now, this is not a precondition. People talk about it's not a precondition. We're asking it as a matter of right. They shouldn't have taken these people in the first place. We have not taken one of their people who could well have done so. We've not taken even a single one of them. So all our people have no right to be there. They don't have any right over them. This foreign thing about talking about exercising whatever right, I don't know where they get them from. Our people have to be released. And they must be released. That's the first thing. The second thing is because of the terrible humanitarian crisis that French Cameroon has imposed on our people. We had now close to 1 million internally displaced people. And the numbers of refugees are also climbing up, approaching 1 million. People talk about 800,000 already. Not only in Nigeria, but other countries, including even in French Cameroon itself. That people have fled there. So these people have to be taken care of. And I'm very eager that we have the United Nations protective humanitarian intervention that will come there for French come to disengage its military force, disengage its colonial administration, dismantle all entirely its colonial administration, so that the UN humanitarian agencies can then move into our homeland, start building temporary accommodation. Because remember, we have over 250 villages that have been burned down and people chase out. These people need to come back. Temporary accommodation need to be built for them. So at the stay there, I said temporary. Because we cannot start going to talk, even sit down, so we're even talking with people, or people call it negotiation, when we have our leaders who are in jail, our people who are in jail. Every single one of them must be released to come back home. These are confidence-building measures. Without those confidence-building measures, we cannot even talk about even sitting down even to negotiate with a credible government. The government that is there now, it's a contested government, to say the very least. Why would they sit down to negotiate or to discuss with a contested government when we know that whatever they put their pen on paper is worth nothing, because going back there is going to be rejected? But the immediate thing, release of our leaders, the humanitarian intervention, very, very critical.
Thank you very much, Professor Nyagwe. Well, by the norms and cultures of our tradition, I come from Manko Palace.
Yes.
And we believe that what an old man can see sitting down, a young man cannot see standing on the tallest.
Correct.
I am here with Comrade Kometa. I would like to thank you very much, because the people in Lower and the TV station in Lower are very appreciative that you took time and call and express your satisfaction on what they are doing to the people, our people. I will ask Comrade Kometa to tell us how important did you think that this particular conference we need to come together, and also to give us a little view of the struggles and the hardship that we've come through thus far. Then I'm going to also ask you questions as we go along. So, sir, could you address the Ambazonian people?
Okay, thank you, Comrade Kimben. I must, first of all, once more extend my appreciation to the TV in Lowell. We know Lowell is the first council in the world that did officially recognize our struggle in Ambazonia. So once more, I am really grateful for all what they have been doing. Okay, coming back to the conference. Yes, we have been having a conference since yesterday. You saw the hall was full yesterday, but today it's full, more than capacity full. We have struggled to have this conference. We wanted, when we initially started discussing about the conference, the AGC of Cardinal Tumi was supposed to be part of it, but Eli Smith was here. He went back home, but unfortunately we could not agree on a date, so that's why we had to go ahead, because our people are being killed every day, and we want this to stop. This has to stop. And we felt that the only way for it to stop is for all of us standing up like one person. That's why we called and we reached out to the frontline leaders that we all should meet, and we have been working since we started, since this conference idea was initiated, for over 2 months now. Which is going to the 3rd month. We have been meeting, having weekly meetings, and we have all agreed that the only way forward is for us to go in as one people. Why? Because when we send mixed messages, then this sets confusion. The international community does not really know what we want. I mean, yes, they know we want a country, we have restored our independence, so we need our freedom. But we seem so divided, because when one group goes in, then they say they're in charge. The second time another group goes in, say they're in charge. So people get confused. So we know we did try to meet sometimes last year, AACC, and it did not work. Why? Because there was not, this foundation wasn't solid. So but this time throughout we have been having meetings, and that's why we're together. True that there are some brothers and sisters, there are some leaders who are not here, but we hope that as we leave from here today, they will join us, and so that we can all see to it that our land is liberated, our people are free, and that we can all go back home to rebuild the Ambazonia, rebuild Ambazonia.
Thank you very much, comrade. Again, from what I gathered from you, that the need of unity is now, and that you cannot rest until all members, all hands are on deck. That going forward, I think when I get from your speech that not all the leaders are here, and that from this meeting you will do everything so that everyone, so that we work like one. So thank you so much for that. At this point, I would also like you to speak to our people in the diaspora who are listening now, and as well as our people, brothers and sisters who are on the ground. These are two different camps. We fight this war thousands of miles away, and probably more on the diplomatic side, and also with our purse, and also with encouraging words. But the people on the ground are bearing the brunt of the pain, the suffering, pain with their lives, with their blood. So I think it is important that they hear from leaders like you.
Thank you once more, Comrade Kimbe. Our brothers and sisters on Ground Zero, I lack words to express the appreciation for all what you have been doing. We know what you have been going through. We see our mothers burying the dead young ones. We see people living in forests. Of course, I was in Nigeria to see the refugees. I'll be going back again. I promise I'll be back. I should be back there very soon. We are saying that we know what they are going through. Yes, the bloodshed is too much. Yes, and they are hurting. They are living in very terrible, deplorable conditions. But we know nothing good comes easy. It's a sacrifice for freedom. And we are all behind you. To all those in jail, to all those in the bushes, to all the refugees, we are all behind you. To all those on Ground Zero, the life you are living is not what you are supposed to be. But one thing is that God gave us that land, and we have decided this time that we can no more take the rubbish from the Republic. So we must make sure that we take this fight to the very end. We know it's not easy, but my dear people, nothing good comes easy. Together we struggle, and we will not abandon you. We will not leave you. We will do all that we can to make sure that we get our freedom. To those in the diaspora, my dear brothers and sisters, all we can do is to send our hands deep into the pockets and make sure our guys back home, they get what they need. Please, I'm appealing to all of you. $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever you can give, this would help. It will not only help those on Ground Zero, it will help the refugees. Whatever you can. I live in this Maryland. When I go to wakekeepings, when I go to social events, you find halls are full. People are ready to eat and drink. Yet, we cannot sacrifice to take care of our brothers and sisters back home. Please, we have been doing so much, but I don't think that's enough. We need to do much more. We need to keep on giving and giving until the day that we are in Buea. We are not giving because we want something back in return. No, we are giving because all of us are involved in the fight for freedom. We want to be free. That's why we said let's restore our country. We don't want to have anything to do with La Republique because freedom does not mean anything to them. It's not about resources. No, it's about our freedom that we're talking about. When we have our freedom, we'll be able to manage ourselves and manage our resources and manage whatever is ours in that land that God gave us. So once more, my dear brothers and sisters in the diaspora, please give, keep on giving, support the leaders, support the people back on Ground Zero. We know we have made mistakes before, and I'm appealing to all of you. On behalf of the leaders, we are all models. Mistakes have been made, mistakes will be made. But please pray for us that we should, whenever we make a mistake, we should be able to stand up and correct that mistake. Please, once more, I'm appealing, let us contribute to make sure that we take this fight to the very end, because let nobody deceive you. There is nothing as peace. There's nothing as peace. If we say we're fighting for peace now, then we stop, our children will live to fight again. So let us better take this thing to the very end right now.
You heard it from Comrade Cometa, Dr. Samuel Sako. I would allow Dr. Sako to speak about the conference, and sir, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Comrade Kimber. Every revolution has 3 stages. The first stage is the gestation stage. After the gestation stage, you have the evolution stage, and then you have the finalization stage. We are going through these stages, and I have observed that from the beginning, unity was not a problem, because our focus was the goal. We desired a thing, and we all came together to get it. But when we entered the evolutionary stage, where we were actually prosecuting our struggle, or we are prosecuting our struggle, that is where divisions emerge, because we don't all agree on the methods, the routes, and the procedures that we adopt at a particular time. That is where that's where you see divisions here and there. But during this time, we have tried to foster unity, but sometimes the disagreements are stronger. Sometimes our processes are not good enough. Sometimes the framework is not solid, and so we did not succeed. From President Sisiko to now, we have all tried. We have not succeeded during this process. But what I see is that we don't give up in doing what is right, because in this struggle for us is existential. We have no alternative to success. We have to succeed. So whatever good thing we try to do and we fail, we only do it again. We cannot stop doing it in order to succeed. Together, we are going to do better. That is why, though we tried last year of August to come together and formulate a consultative platform where we can all work together as one and face La Republic only as our enemy, though that experiment did not really succeed, we decided to try it again. And let's give credit to whom credit is due. Dr. Fontaine, my friend and former classmate in the University of Calabar, he came here. We know him as one of the pioneers of the trade unionist movement that initiated this level of struggle we have right now. He brought the idea, buying the advice of the international community, that we should rather work together. And he shared the idea to us and to other movements, including to the interim government. And I understood that his intentions are honest and they are good, and we all endorsed the idea of having this conference, and I fully give my endorsement to this conference, and it has provided us the opportunity to come together to still do what we wanted to do that we did not succeed. Now we have to.
Thank you, Dr. Sako, for that powerful message. But I think that our people on ground zero will really want to hear from you. What message do you have to the people on ground zero? Because personally, I feel that we owe them an enormous thank you that words cannot even enough, because they are the ones who are paying the ultimate price. I cannot end this interview without giving you that opportunity to address them.
Yes, everybody on ground zero, from Limbe to Cambe, from Momo to Mayo, I want to say the reason why we are coming together is because of you. Because this matter, this war will end on the table. So we have positioned ourselves to tell the world we are ready. Because every moment, any moment from now, we believe that with your resistance, with your resilience on the ground, despite the pain that you are going through, very soon the international community will require us to talk and talk the end of our struggle. I just want to tell you that in this conference we have resolved that all the rancor will stop, all the infighting intergroup will stop, that we are going to be ready to talk and not stop saying things that will discourage the people. This is the first step we are taking to change the climate and to stop all that internal witch hunting and infighting that you hate so much. And I want to also assure you that here we have agreed that as far as diplomacy is concerned and helping Ground Zero as a collective amongst all the groups, you will benefit now more than ever before. All the leaders of counties and local government and all the country coordinators around the world and other activists and stakeholders are also coming together. There, the focus is still Ground Zero. We have to raise money to help you. To make sure that this war is short-lived, to make sure that everything we have to do for you, for this thing to end, we don't lack what it takes to do it. So that's why we are gathering. That's why we are minimizing our differences and emphasizing our oneness at this time. So your story in Ground Zero in the next couple of weeks will never be the same again, because of what is happening now.
Thank you, Dr. Sako. We have, I've heard you talk so much about the interim president, Sisiko, in prison, and all our comrades who are with him.
Thank you very much to our president, His Excellency Sisiko Tabi Julius, and respectable comrades that laid the foundation, like Comrade Tassan Wilfred, like our father for Ngalafo, and the rest of our leaders. I have heard several times from you that unity, and that is why despite all that you hear and see on social media, I cannot allow my frustration to deter me from pursuing collaboration. That if it depends on me, we shall collaborate. If it depends on me, unity will be achieved, especially at this time when the international community is paying attention. We will not be divided. I want to ask that all our leaders who are able to talk to us in the diaspora, talk not just to me, but talk to all who have stakes in this struggle, to see the need for us to work together, so that when the international community is ready, we should not be seen as not ready. When the adversary is ready, we should not be seen as not ready. Because I believe that we are towards the end of our struggle now than when we started. I appreciate all of you, and my prayer for all who are languishing in dungeons now, wherever in La Republic or Ground Zero, to know we love you. We will do our best to seek legal redress or your release. But the best we can do, which cannot be denied, is that we shall pray for you. And we believe that what we cannot do, our God, who is the watchman of this nation, will do it for us. We shall be together not too long from now. and lift up the flag together and sing the song of victory in Buea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sako. You heard that from the interim president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Sako. Thank you very much. My name is Fru Nkimben. I am here with Comrade Bo Herbert. Comrade, I will tell you that you are blessed with a wonderful voice.
Thank you, Comrade Kimben.
So the purpose of this short interview is that by our people we believe that a child has to crawl, stand up, fall, stumble, then get up and walk again, and soon that child starts walking and will be running. I believe that you, the frontline leaders, you've also gone through those steps. And the recently coming together and calling the Ambazonian people and you leaders to unite and see how we can go forward is very, very encouraging. And that encourages me to ask all of you frontline leaders to share a little bit of what it took you guys to come together and how do we work together to go forward, and at the same time to address our people in the diaspora and also send a message to our people on the ground. So I will at this point ask Comrade Bo Herbert to speak to the people.
Well, thank you very much, Comrade. We're here in Washington at the All Southern Cameroon People's Conference. This has been a great initiative. It shows the extent to which any Southern Cameroonian can do something in this revolution. And where prejudice about people and giving people names is not helpful. We have to believe in the power of our people to ask from God and receive the miracle of discernment and the possibility to bring our people together. This is what has happened at this conference. Unfortunately, we are not all of us here. So one thing we believe has happened is that the process has begun to put together a unified collaborative platform which is open to everyone. It is being built as a big tent. Now, the reason it's being rebuilt or is being built anew is that maybe we went too fast the last time we started. Maybe there was not enough trust. Certainly there was not enough trust. Certainly there was not enough confidence building measures that were put in place. And so because of that lack of trust, we didn't really grow the house. We kind of moved forward and built the second floor of the house when the cement on the foundation and the lower floor had not even set. And so we are hoping that what we have started now, where we are going to build from the ground up and where we are going to try to look for the low-hanging fruit, we're going to start with the small things, just making sure that the leaders are talking to each other, just making sure that our people are exchanging notes, making sure that our people can see us frequently together, because some of these problems happen because people are too far apart. But the other recognition is that there is no gift in any one person, including frontline leaders, that other Ambazonians don't have. So this is an invitation for all Ambazonians to hold our feet to the fire, to instruct those they consider their leaders to do the right thing, to call them out when they believe that they're not doing the right thing, to ensure that the accountability and transparency that is needed to bring our people together works, to realize that the world is waiting for us to show that we have unity in purpose so that they can engage us in a manner that allows us to get to the separation that we want to achieve from this doomed experiment at colonization or recolonization that has been ongoing for more than 100 years. Speaking to Ambazonians in the diaspora, I would say you have shown great resilience and great support for our people on the ground. You have tried to put your money where your mouth is, supporting what's going on the ground, supporting our people as they fight for survival. We must continue. There's a reason why we are here and not back home. We cannot be disconnected from whatever is going back at home, because it's happening to our people. So we must find bigger, more impactful ways of reaching our people, of helping back there and supporting the work that's going on down there and relieving them of the pain that they're going through. Now, to talk to our people on the ground, I'd say we are blessed to have you on the ground. We are blessed to have Amber boys who have put their lives on the line to defend our people. It's unfortunate that a government that only believes in repression, in war crimes and in genocide, has visited a war upon our people and have put you in a situation where you are left with no choice than to try to defend your people. We realize that the resources with which you do this at this moment are limited resources. And so some of the things that we have said very openly to the international community, including, for instance, to the US government, is that you have funded people on their path to liberation before. Our people deserve no less support from a country whose history we are copying and proudly copying. This is a country that decided we're going to break away from that British Empire. They declared their independence the same way we have proclaimed ours. So we follow in your footsteps, O great America. And we realize that although there is pain in our land, it is on the blood of heroes like the ones in the United States that a beautiful country was born in this United States of America. And we say to our people who are dying in the forefront, we say we thank you for your sacrifice. We say to our people who are suffering in the bushes, who are sheltering in the forest, we tell you we thank you for your sacrifice. For people in jail, we say we thank you for your sacrifice. But also we say that we reassure you that we will never let you down, that we will continue to fight, we will continue to knock on all doors to ensure that we go to the last man standing, but that our people get to the victory we deserve. On your blood, on your sweat, on the limbs that you lose on the ground, on the years that you spend in prison, and the years that you spend in refugee camps, or months, hopefully days that you have left in refugee camps, we will build that powerful, successful Ambazonia, a land of milk and honey.
You heard it from Comrade Bo, but I will not actually close this without asking you to share your views about Ambazonians who are in the diaspora, just in their comfort zone with a keyboard. They send out, I would say, some sort of divisive and negative messages. Because I believe that anything not constructive is destructive to our cause. And I believe that if you don't have anything to say which is positive that can help enhance our struggle, it's better not to say it and say something that can destroy our struggle. And secondly, I also want you to have listened to Ambazonian Calling. You have spoken about our leaders in jail. Maybe this is an opportunity to say something about them and let the world know about them.
Okay, as you know, I'm a journalist by training. So one of the things that I fight and die for is freedom of expression, freedom of opinion. And it's my support for everybody who wants to say what they want to say, who have to put their views without fear of threat, no matter whether I don't like those views or I like them. And what I would love for all Ambazonians to do is to build thick skin for what will happen. We will not agree, even if we were the children of the same mother and the same father, we will not agree on everything. Our people, in preparation of the beautiful democratic Ambazonia that we are going to build, our people need to show maturity in accepting that people have different views. We have gone back and pointed out that our forefathers, who did not have our education, did not have our exposure, demonstrated political maturity of the highest order when they met in Mamfe, bringing together people who wanted independence, people who were in favor of joining Nigeria, and people who were in favor of joining La Republique. And they debated and voted. This is the beautiful Ambazonia we need to go back to. A place where people can say things to you, even things that hurt you, and you say, okay, it's their political view, it is their view. It may be harmful in the sense that you're thinking, oh, this really hurt my feelings. But democracy is a very messy thing. It really consists of asking our people to speak up. So what I will say to them is that as you speak up, think about could I be more helpful to this revolution? Could I be more helpful and supportive of the good initiatives that exist? But please do not close your mouths over the evil. If you see evil, you need to speak up, because if you don't, it will destroy our revolution. Covering it up will not. You know, when you know that something is stinking in your house, you need to take out the trash. If you don't take it out, you're not going to be able to live in that house. So that's what I would say about freedom of expression. I'll say something else with respect to the leaders, which was your request. The leaders in jail are our big heroes. Are big heroes for what has happened to them, for the pain that they endure. And that goes back to the Mancho BBCs. I'm not just talking about the Naira 10, the Talabar people that were moved out, but I'm saying every one of them, everyone in jail is on jail for unjustified reasons. They are in jail in a foreign land by a tyranny that is trying to colonize our people, and that has no right to hold them. And they are being held and subjugated to this indignation because of the lack of action on the part of the international community. All of our leaders who were in Nigeria were under the protection of the United Nations. I am still to this day to see a resolution from the United Nations asking that those people who were under UN protection should be returned to the protection of the United Nations. I've heard the court ruling. This is the court standing up where the UN cannot stand up. The UN should be able to request that these refugees be returned. Now, if they don't, and until now the UN has not done it, it is the equivalent of beating back the Jews who were running away from the Holocaust under Hitler, beating them back into the gas chambers. It is the equivalent of chasing back Tutsis who were going into Democratic Republic of Congo to flee the genocide in Rwanda, chasing them back to be killed by the Hutu Interamwe. This is criminal on the part of the United Nations and on the part of the world, especially because they committed after the Holocaust to the Never Again Pledge, and also because after the 1994 genocide in Rwanda and the 1995 massacres of Bosnia, they committed in 2005 within the United Nations to a principle called the responsibility to protect. That responsibility to protect and prevent genocide and atrocity crimes should apply in Cameroon today, and Cameroon should have no right to sovereignty, because the government of Cameroon has proven not only that they themselves are leading these mass atrocities, but that they are unable to stop it and incapable of stopping it. And so, with the partnership that they have formed with France, the world should now disregard any sovereignty that Cameroon claims over any part of territory. In any case, they have no sovereignty over Ambazonia. And if they are looking for permission, our leaders here give them permission to go into Ambazonia and provide protection for our people and create a buffer zone between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon, and create a demilitarized zone and post peacekeepers and monitors to make sure that these atrocities are recorded, because the Biya regime needs to end up before the International Criminal Court and end up the same way like Hitler and his lieutenants had to end up in front of the Nuremberg Tribunal.
Thank you. You heard it from Comrade Bo Herbert, but I would like to echo what you said. Freedom of speech. I may hate what you say, I may not like what you say, but I will defend your right to say it.
That's absolutely. I mean, our forefathers showed it to us. The Fonchas, the Munas, the Endeles went around in villages in the same Land Rover, campaigning on the same soapbox and telling our people, it's democracy, go out there and vote. We had the most beautiful thing in Africa before Ghana even became independent. We were already practicing it, and it is one of the reasons why the founding president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, returned his first trip out of his country. He went to Ambazonia to see these people who had already experimented with democracy.
Multipartism.
Multipartism. And this beautiful thing was completely destroyed by a monster regime that absolutely wants nothing but to turn our people into slaves. And in this age and in this time, after having endured it under Nigeria and then endured it under La République du Cameroun, our people can take it no more.
Thank you very much, sir.